All right, welcome in. My name is Rob Ennis, and this is the Project Effort Podcast. I am autistic, I am a father, I am a husband, and that brings me to the best part about all of this, which is my wife. She is joining us today, so this is Melinda. So, do you want to go over anything specific? I know that I have some things I want to talk about, but
You go ahead.
we are in Oklahoma City now, for those of y'all that don't know. Before we lived in Texas, and we live in a very small town in Hillsboro, Texas. We are, well, let me say this a little bit differently. We were both teachers. Melinda is still teaching, and she teaches here at Yukon Middle School in Oklahoma. It's kind of Oklahoma City area, the west side of it. So, I am no longer teaching, kind of looking for my next path. And I know a lot of it's going to have to deal with autism. I know a lot of it's going to have to deal with us really, I think, being more actively involved in what we already have been, which is in the special education community. So,
Yeah.
what is the best thing about just starting this out? What's the best thing about being in Oklahoma versus Texas?
The weather. The weather. It's about 10 degrees cooler most of the time. And we get snow. Like we got, what, like 7 or 8 inches of snow the other day. And so that's something that I love. I know you said that you're not a fan of the snow, but I love the snow. I love it so much.
Yeah, I think like if we ever went back to that cabin, where was it at? Broken Bow or something?
Yeah.
Okay, so in Broken Bow, Oklahoma, that's one of the reasons why we moved to Oklahoma. If maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think that we
Eh,
we we experienced it like as a family a couple times, and we really enjoyed it, and it wasn't too far, and it had like a lot of the things that we were looking for. And I know that yours was the scenery and stuff, but when we went to the like it was like a cabin. Can you explain it better than I can? So where did we go? The one that I'm thinking about that had the Pac-Man machine and stuff like that.
it was about 30 minutes north of Broken Bow. It was in, I don't remember the name of the forest, but it was in a forest. Um, but where we live is different from.
Yeah,
We don't live in a forest. We live
very much
in
in a
suburban area.
suburban area.
Part of the reason why I looked in Oklahoma, okay, petty, because Madison said you'll never move to another state. Bet, bet. So
And for those of y'all who
Oklahoma.
don't know, Madison is our daughter. Madison is now a sophomore in high school.
Um, but this was where we went on vacations when we were younger. We went to Midwest City to visit my great grandma. And so I'm familiar with the area. Like you said, it's not that far. It's about 3.5 hours from where my family lives. And like I said, on average is about 10 degrees cooler. And they also have more special ed opportunities. And the price of housing and everything was right.
Like I would definitely agree with you on everything you said. One of the things that you have always been been the lead person and really did it solely by yourself for the a lot of the time is the dealing with special education, dealing with Hunter. So I told you all a little bit about Madison. Hunter is our youngest. Hunter is 14 now, just turned 14. He is already taller than me. He's projected to be 6 foot what?
I think 6'2".
6'2". Okay,
Mhm.
I'm the tallest in our family, and now Hunter is the tallest. Well,
Mhm.
no, Micah
Micah,
beat
yeah.
Micah is our oldest. Micah is 19,
Last time I checked, he was 5'11".
and he's 5'11".
Yep.
So Micah lives in Texas still. So, but going back to Hunter, Hunter is level 3 autistic, and he struggles with quite a bit. He's nonverbal. He still struggles with a lot of the development as far as like potty training and stuff like that. And I know that that's a very sensitive subject for a lot of people, especially when I'm talking about a 14-year-old. But
Mhm.
my biggest thing is like I always talk about being open and honest. And I think that if you want to sit there and try to be able to help somebody in a situation where maybe you can with your experience with autism and stuff like that, like I hope I can. I want to make sure that I'm vulnerable and I'm not just like, oh, that situation is too much for me. It's no, like I have a very good friend that we have a very good friend, but I met him working at Yukon Middle School last year, Gibran, and he has a whole different situation than us. Like he has one of his kids is wheelchair bound, and Leland Lee, and I think that it's nice to have a different perspective from just one person because I know in my situation, our situation, specifically mine, with my own personal experience with autism, and it's there's if you meet one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. I think that's said so many times, but I also like to think that if you think solely on that and you think that, oh, that means that I'm not going to have an ability to connect with him because he's different than me, then don't think like that because there's so many approaches that work both ways. You know, like if it's autism, if it's a spectrum, we all could benefit from noise canceling headphones. That's like one of the things that I found to be one of the most beneficial things for me. So I'm rambling on. Biggest thing that I enjoy Oklahoma versus Texas is, other than the weather, I'll agree with the weather. It's slower. It is slower. I ran into an old boss of mine, Jared Daly, the other day. I was telling you about. I saw him in the neighborhood market there in Yukon, and he's over, I believe, and don't quote me on this, but he's over all of the gas stations in the entire company of Walmart, or at least in like a specific region, like multiple states. Like I know that he was the innovator whenever it came to the gas stations at Walmart that were separate from the store, not just the what are those called? It's the name of the company that owns the gas stations out there.
Murphy?
Murphy, not just Murphy's, but when Walmart started building their own, he was over that. He was the innovator in it. So, anyways, whenever I was talking to him, that's one of the things that he had said was he said, what have you noticed to be different? And I'm like, man, I don't know. Like it seems like it's not as crazy and hectic and stuff like that. And he said, man, it's slower, right? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, that's and like, and he really talked about like the benefits of that. Like it's, to me, I lived the life of the Dallas Fort Worth, and so did you. And to me, it was like, in my opinion, almost like a New York mindset. Like it's go, 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 go. Beat this, beat what you did yesterday, and beat everybody else that does the same thing as you. And then I went to Hillsboro, back to Hillsboro, and it was like we had our own life and we built it there, and we really didn't get a chance to, like, I don't know, like to me it feels like we missed out on something. Like we missed out on opportunities that we might have had like in the Dallas Fort Worth area, but at the same time, like it brought us to, in that specific situation, the most important thing, which was closer to Micah. So
Yeah.
but
Well, I mean,
yeah.
the DFW area has a larger population than Oklahoma total. So there's a lot less people. So we do live closer. We live about 15 minutes away from downtown Oklahoma City, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're a lot further away because there's less people. And now, going slower, that doesn't mean that they don't love to run red lights, because they do. Like bad red light runners, yeah.
Yeah,
But
no, I remember that being one of the first things I identified whenever we moved up here. I was like, every single red light you see a car running, like a car or 3 or 4 cars
Yeah.
running
Yeah.
that red light, and I mean, it's, and the craziest thing is, I'll be honest with you, and wow, it's the first time I've said that in a long time because I don't know why I feel like I need to validate what I'm about to say, but I have not seen a police officer pull over someone running a red light yet. I've not a single one. I've seen them pull over for speeding on the interstate or the side of the highway, helping with the wreck, like changing a tire, stuff like that. I have not seen a single police officer pull over someone running a red light. And I see at least, and I'm different because I'm on the road a little bit more than most people, but I see at least double-digit cars running red lights a day. And I see also double-digit police cars a day. So
I see them pulling over people speeding in school zones.
yeah, I do see that a lot, and I think that's important.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I'm not saying that running red lights is not important, but I'm just saying like I think this is a good chance to kind of show my perspective as an autistic person. I'm very black and white. This entire room, the walls and everything designed in it. Yes, there's shades of color. There's these little pops of color, but the walls are black and white. That's the way that I think. And if I was raised, in which I was raised, to follow the law, like, and I was given a book where I had to go to driver's ed and stuff like that, and I said, this is the law, Like, I don't run red lights. I'm not saying I haven't ever in my life. Yes, I've had like a brain fart moment when I'm talking to you and I'm looking up, like, oh my God, oh crap! And then it's like, it's not even yellow, it's red. And like, I have no idea how long it's been red, but I run it anyways. I'm not
you've
perfect.
run stop signs,
I've
and
run
I'll
stop
say,
signs and I
that was
feel,
a stop sign,
yeah.
and you'd be like, oh, what?
Yeah, and then that's
Not
whenever
even
you
pay attention.
you do a quick prayer, and then you say, and you thank God no one got hurt, and thank God I didn't get a ticket as well, and that's definitely on the bottom of the list versus no one getting hurt. But anyways, I'm very black and white. I'm very literal thinking, and so whenever I see that, it creates an emotional response. Like, and this is something I've come to terms with. Like, I'm an empath. I know that I'm an empath, and that's not some hippy dippy or a magical thing. An empath is truly someone that has empathy for other people. Like, when someone walks in a room, I notice everybody that walks in the room. It's part of my ability to hyperscan and know my environment. But I can also pick up on what they're feeling. If they're sad, just based on the way that they're carrying themselves, if their shoulders are dropped, if the expression on their face is not something that I'm used to seeing. Like, it's just something that I do. So like, whenever I see someone running a red light, to me it triggers that emotional response that is not the best one. And in that moment, it's like, they thought that they're better than me. They thought they could run the red light. But no, it's just them. Who cares? They're not thinking about me. No one's thinking about me. No one is thinking about me. So it's one of those things I've had to be able to try to come to terms with when I'm get that emotional trigger, that I have something that says, it's like, they don't care about you. They don't care about the light.
For me, it's just being more scared about Madison starting to drive. Just thinking like, okay, that's another thing that she has to look out for, that in Texas you wouldn't really. I mean, you still have to look out, make sure that nobody's going to run the red light, but it's more of a risk, and that it causes a lot of accidents. And so that's something we're going to have to make sure that she understands, that you have to wait that extra time at the light just because people do run the red light all the time.
She thinks she's such a good driver. She drove James's Jeep, someone that I used to be friends with.
She drove the golf cart.
In the golf cart.
And I told her, girl, the golf cart, you had to push the floor to, like, the pedal to the floor just to get it to go. Like, if you did that in a car, oh my gosh. Can you imagine if you did that on your Tesla? You just push the pedal to the floor?
Yeah, and my Tesla's not even like one of the fast ones. Mine's 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. They have them now where it's 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. By the time that she's driving, she'll have something in between. You know what I mean? And so if she pushes it to the floor, like, she's going through something or something stopping her from going. It's definitely a big fear of mine. Like, it's something when every time that you've said that you're glad that they have what's it called? The driving?
Oh, the driver's ed?
Driver's ed. They have driver's ed. You were glad that they provide it and stuff, or it's available. It's available, right?
Yeah, well, you have to pay for it and stuff like that. You pay a lot of money for it.
But like, to me, like, I never really thought about it, but I always knew that I was gonna probably be the more active one in her driving, because like, that's my thing. Like, I always talk to you about it and stuff like that, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but like, you already know, like, if there's any job that I could have in any part of the world, it'd be a driver, a professional driver. Like, I love driving, like, I always have, but it's not just driving, like, delivering stuff. I love, like, dangerously driving. It's just something I love. I love racing.
That you're going to take a big part in her drivers, because we're recording this. I know. I had to actually teach her math for a whole school year. So, it's your turn.
Yeah, that's not fun. But here's the thing. I was ready to teach her. I was always like saying, I wish I can't wait till you have me. And we were planning on stuff like that. I remember I wanted her to be in class, but I think it was also because it was going to be like a social thing. Like, because I think it was going to be, we would feed off each other, and it would be that situation that, like, I don't think most fathers and daughters get a chance to have, is having their dad as a teacher, and their dad is being a teacher that is not the typical teacher. So
she just wants to argue with everything.
Yeah, that's true. She, like, back then I couldn't have handled it. Like, I couldn't, because she triggered me all the time. She did it on purpose. And but the thing is, like, I'm not mad at her for doing that. Like, she was taking advantage of something that she had the ability to control.
We had an agreement. She had to wait until the end of class to ask questions, because the way she asked questions was, "You're wrong on this," and I'm like, "This is the 5th time I've taught this today, and if I was wrong, somebody else would have caught it."
And
So,
it's one of those things that like I can't stand whenever she tells me I'm wrong because 9 times out of 10 I'm not wrong. But that one time out of 10, she will savor that. She will build this mental trophy in her head that she can present to you anytime that you want to tell her that she's wrong.
and in that you're the same. You
Yeah.
both are the same.
I'll agree. I'll agree. But like I'll agree, and I'm not holding this against her because and I've spent the last few years obsessing over the brain and neural developmental processes and stuff like that. But like I know that my frontal lobe is fully developed now, and hers is not,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Like I fully get that, and I'm not no necessarily if that's the frontal lobe that I'm talking about right now, but dealing with the ability to admit when I'm wrong is something that I think that you have to agree that I'm really, really good at now, and I've
Yeah.
not always been that way.
Hmm.
I think that's a lot of conditioning, whether it be generational conditioning, whether it be situational, maybe just my own specific situation with my parents and my family. But it was not something that a man, specifically a man, admits that they're wrong. But I think also it was an NS thing that there's a difficulty in admitting when we're wrong. So it's one of those things that I don't hold against Madison because I know that I was the same way. I can't wait till she realizes the strength involved in admitting when you're wrong and that it's not a weakness. Because every single time that I've been able to be vulnerable and admit when I'm wrong to somebody, a lot of times it's been a young person, and you've had probably the same situation. You've told me about situations that you've had with students, but every time I've had that situation, it's ended more impactful in the positive sense for the student or the young person or the adult or whoever
Hmm.
it is whenever I have the ability to admit when I'm wrong.
Yeah.
So, what about you? What's a situation that you know that that's like that where you've been able to admit you're wrong, or just maybe that that someone else was right and that's really been beneficial?
I don't know. I'm wrong all the time. I'm up there doing math, especially first thing in the morning, the first time I done it, and then it's like, oh, you know what? I mean, it'll just be little things. Like the other day, we're doing Pythagorean theorem, and as I'm writing, I'm talking at the same time, and so I'll just write stuff wrong. So I forgot to put a square, or I put a cubed instead of squared, or so, just little stuff like that. Like miss, and so I encourage them to let me know because other kids are just writing it down and not knowing that it's wrong. And so if they correct me, if we get it right, then that other person writing it down will get it right too. They're not going to copy down the wrong thing. So it's normally just little things like that throughout the day.
And the thing is that depending on who's actually watching this and from the perspective, some people are like, "Oh yeah, like I get it, like I can do that and that's fine." But like when you're around other adults and they're in a situation like you, like let's just be honest, like if I know you've seen this, I know I've seen it. I think I've been a little bit more looking for it than maybe you, but I've seen bad teachers. I've seen ones that
Mm-hmm.
get up there and will teach something wrong and just die on the sword.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the so here's the thing, it doesn't benefit the kids. They're not going to be able to understand it, and if they do be able to understand it, actually it might be able to benefit those autistic ones, the ones that want to do it in spite. The Madisons be like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, you're wrong. It might have been benefit them, but like it's not benefiting it's not, who's it benefiting? All it's
Mm-hmm.
doing is showing them that like you're better than they're no, they're better. Hold on, depending on my perspective as a student, that now I just know that the teacher thinks that they're better than me. So why do I want to be here? Right? Why do I want to be here? I don't care about this class. Definitely. If I didn't care about this subject, I still don't care about this subject. And math is one of those that you can't have a student like that. You can't have a teacher like that for sure,
Mm-hmm.
because you know how hard it is. I know you do, to break a student that's had a pattern of bad math teachers.
Mm-hmm.
I came from Hillsboro. I know that like you taught there too, and I'm not going to get into all that right now. But I came from when I worked at the junior high and I was a seventh grade math teacher. I had a string of teachers before me that were first year teachers year after year after year because the intermediate could not keep teachers. Like I'm just going to speak from my own personal experience. A lot of the what I was hearing from the teachers that are still there and the ones that are not there anymore is that like it's just too much clicks. It was all on who knows who and stuff like that. And like whenever that becomes more important than what benefits or what's best for the kids, then it's just not. You're not going to keep good teachers. You're definitely not going to be able to keep
Yeah.
good teachers. And so, like when you have students year after year after year talking about, oh, like this teacher didn't want to be there, so they quit, and they didn't want to teach me, and all this kind of stuff. They don't
Mhm.
want to learn, and you're getting them. So not only you're having to re-inspire them, but also be a very good math teacher that can get them caught up on years worth of education that they missed out on.
Well,
So
not necessarily re-inspire them, but it's about building the trust.
yep.
Kids, we'd have kids in Itasca who would like, oh yeah, we made a teacher quit and stuff, but really you see that they feel like they were left. And so they want to know that you're going to still stick it out. You're going to be there. And they're going to test you, they're going to try to, oh, let's see if we can make her quit too or whatever. But you got to build that trust. Once you build the trust, then the rest of it comes along with it. The relationship comes along with it. But if they've been left, especially several times before, after COVID and stuff, it was really hard. They didn't feel safe. And so
Hmm.
building that trust and that safety comes first before they can be vulnerable enough to do the math, because math is hard for a lot of people, and you got to be able to be vulnerable to say, hey, I have no clue what we're doing, or I don't know how to add. I mean, some of them can't have trouble adding.
No, no, I absolutely get it. All right, moving away from teaching and stuff like that, because one of the things that I really wanted to talk about is like Hunter. Like I know that that seems to be like the center of attention, like on almost all of my social media posts. But like it's one of the things that he's completely comfortable with. We're all completely comfortable with, and we have been able to connect with so many different families out there through Hunter. Like whether it be through the schools, whether it be through different like community organizations out there, or whether it be just through family, friends, and or social media or whatever. So we kind of going back to what we talked about, like Texas versus Oklahoma. I know for me, one of the things that has tremendously grown is my understanding and involvement in like hunters services and stuff like that. What's out there, what's available, what can we get, what can't we get. So like can you talk about that, tell like people that don't know like what it's like being a teacher, what it's like being, I guess, like this, I mean, what is it like, middle, like what is that called, like there's like different stages of income and stuff like that, middle class, lower middle class,
Yeah.
right? Being a teacher, having the income that we did as a family, and then having the situation with Hunter and the services that were available, and like kind of that whole situation.
It's just kind of crazy because when we were both just teachers, like even first year teachers, we made too much money to get any assistance from the state or the government or anything. And then when it was just me working, we still made too much money to get assistance. In Oklahoma, we actually, there's a program, it's TEFRA, TEFRA, and that allowed us to, since Hunter is more severely disabled, it's for those who could use community services, like be in a home, but you want to raise them at home. And so basically, you're saving the government money by not putting them in a home and having the government pay for that. So they allow you to be on the Medicaid, which in Oklahoma is SoonerCare. And so we had to go through the whole process of that. You have to get a psych eval, you have to have medical stuff from the doctors, and you have to go through a whole process. It took several months, but he's finally on it. So now he can get services outside of the school. See, in Texas, he got all the services in the school, which is fine, but we live so far away that it took an hour to get to any services,
Right.
and we couldn't afford it. I mean, here, they're a lot closer. We still couldn't afford it, but with SoonerCare, we can. And the I forgot what I was saying.
Talking about the difference between Texas and so like my question is like, so what kept us really from like what's changed from Texas to Oklahoma, like what what was available, what could we not get in Texas, and what's available in Oklahoma, and what's the biggest difference? What did we gain?
To me, well, the proximity of the services, but also they offered transition services from high school into adulthood, where we were living, that wasn't. It was basically like, oh, you're done with school, that's it. You
Right.
figure it out. And so here they have services, like they have that organization Wings, and they have
Hmm.
other autism services in Oklahoma City that work with young and adult people with disabilities, intellectual disabilities, and everything, to get them jobs, to teach them those skills. Some of it even helps them if they're able to be in group homes,
Right.
to where they have some sort of independence. So that's, just kind of looking at the future. We know that it's getting close. Hunter's 14, and this is when they start looking at transition services. This is when talking to they start talking to middle schoolers. What are you going to do for the rest of your life? And so you have to start thinking about that for Hunter as well, because yes, he will be able to stay in school longer, but at that point, it's almost kind of like babysitting. We want him to be able to have some sort of skill, be able to do that. We want him to be as independent as he possibly can be. And so just where we were in Texas didn't just didn't have those services, and where they did have the services, it was too expensive to live.
You touched on a lot there, but one of the things I wanted to really talk about was Wings. So Wings is the Wings Special Education Community. So Jabron and I, we actually had a meeting with them last Wednesday, and we had an opportunity to tour the facility. It's the second time I've been. I say facility, like it is a facility. It's I like to think of it. It looks kind of like a tech school. It kind of looks like
Mhm.
how it's got a lot of different classrooms. It's got a kitchen. It's got different offices. It's got a big meeting rooms. A lot of different stuff there. It supports people that are 18 years or older that have special needs,
Mhm.
right? And I know that the first time that I went there, I remember I came back, and I don't know if you remember how excited I was, but I was super excited. Anytime that I have an opportunity to be around what I call my people, so like when I was a teacher, that's something I did more often than not. I was in the lunchroom and I sat with the special education kids. So I say special education kids because like there was all different ones. They might be autistic, they might be physically disabled, they Down syndrome, all kinds of different ones. Cynthia is one of my favorites that I always remember talking to and had our little handshake. And I know that if I see her again, and when I do see her again, then I'm hoping that she remembers it just as well as I do. And I haven't done it with anybody else since. So I'm super excited. But those are my people. And whenever I had a chance to go and see my people that were older and like just different personalities and stuff like that. They had one of the guys over there that I'm like, we were in the middle of watching an amazing presentation. I think they were doing the hip hop dance, right? And he's sitting in the crowd, he's sitting in a chair, like they have student chairs, like in rows,
Mhm.
like in the crowd, watching the dancers, right? And then all of a sudden, his arms go back and they go behind him and they turn and then they do like this. And I look at Jabron and I said, he is double jointed. And I'm like, oh, like all of a sudden. But then he looked back and he just smiled at me. And it was the most awesome experience in the world because, like, I knew that, like, he wanted to connect and he was just like, that was his
Mhm.
way of doing it. And I thought it was really, really cool. But those are my people.
Yeah.
And knowing that we live like within a very quick driving distance to an organization that's out there that hopefully would be there for Hunter when he gets to be 18 years and older because they do great things for those people over there. Great skills, cooking skills, vocational skills. I know that they have a program that they put together care kits and stuff like that for, I think it's a local jail and different hygiene kits and stuff like that. And it's really cool. They last time I was there, I think they were cooking about to do a thing of cookies
Mhm.
and have those that they were going to give out as well too. So I thought it was really cool. It's awesome to see that there are groups of people out there that are like us instead of where we came from in Hillsboro, where there might have been one or two, but that you wouldn't call yourself a group. You would call
Mhm.
yourself, the outliers in the community for sure. Hunter, I did want to talk about him for a second. What would you say is the biggest thing that he showed growth on from moving into Oklahoma, just like in the last couple years versus what he'd been before?
I think verbalizing things, he's been able to verbalize a lot more, and probably time, knowing times, because he is able to, he knows what time he has to go and plug in his phone so that he can get all of his stuff together and go into the classroom. He knows what time we get to leave the school. He knows what time he gets to leave his classroom to come into my room. So him just noticing time, and last week he knows what time we have to get into the car to take Madison to school. So I don't even have to say anything, and he knows it's time. He'll go and he'll get his stuff ready, and he'll tell me, "Sissy," because he knows it's time to go to school.
Like I would say I've definitely seen an improvement, especially. I mean, I notice when there are periods of time whenever he's very developed, like he's developed like a lot, like just in a couple weeks of time. And I think the last 2 or 3 weeks, like it's been one of those groups of time. And I think you would admit too, like because if like for instance, like he wants you to get up, like so that you'll go and make him mac and cheese or something like that. He's always had the go to of like stand up, get up, stand up,
Hmm.
please, get up, please, or like pull or whatever. He'll do that, but like if you sit it out, or if you don't allow that to be his go-to thing, he'll eventually create a different response, like yellow mac and cheese please. Like
Hmm.
he'll get to a different thing, and that's the biggest thing that I've noticed. It's not just a one response kind of takes care of 20 different things. He's seeing that a specific response gets a specific result, and I think that's really really cool.
Hmm.
And I think that's a big part of the communication process. So, where do you see Hunter after high school? Right, like we talked about wings and stuff like that. Like, and I know that's great to have organizations out there and stuff like that. But like, I also I consider myself a realist,
Hmm.
um, and I think that we would both agree to that. That that might not be an option.
That is where it gets scary because I don't know. We've seen him make a whole lot of progress, but if this is the level that he's at, he's he's gonna be here with us. He's not gonna be able to have a job if he requires the type of supervision he has now. So hopefully we can get him to where he's more independent, to where he doesn't have to have somebody with him 24/7. Maybe he can be in a room for 30 minutes or an hour, um, to like given a job to do, and he can do it by himself without somebody standing there. I think the biggest concern is still eloping, getting up and going somewhere. But I mean, that's one of the current concerns that a lot of parents have with kids. I mean, you don't know, and it's scary, and it's hard, and it also requires grieving. You're constantly grieving as a parent with a child with disabilities because every milestone that you hit, um, there's also milestones that you'll probably never hit. Like he's 14, Madison's about to go into driver's ed. Hunter will never drive. Hunter, well, like he'll drive a go-kart or whatever at Andretti's, but he's not going to be out there driving. He's not going to have a traditional graduation. I mean, there's a lot of things that are just hard where other kids are going out playing with friends, or they're doing. Hunter's just, it's not going to have that. He did have, a good friend Julian invite him to a birthday party. That's the first time he's been invited to a birthday party by a kid, not by their parent, by a kid that's not related to us. And that kid actually wants them to be there. So, I mean, that's, that was just so exciting for us. I know that Hunter doesn't really care about that kind of stuff, but as a parent, you're like, oh my gosh, you didn't know if that was going to happen, if he was going to have friends. So that's a part of the thing. Like you grieve it, and then hey, some stuff can come. But with a lot of it, it's just a lot of unknowns until you get there. We keep pushing forward, but there's just really no telling what he's going to be like in 4 years.
Yeah. Well, and I know the thing that you're talking about with driving and stuff like that, and I said earlier that like that's what my passion, and I would love to be a race car driver or something like that. But like Hunter loves it too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, every time we take him to like Dave and Buster's or
Main
here
event.
recently I took him to a place there in Yukon and main event stuff like that. He loves to get on the motorcycle race car games, and he loves to get in the like race car games like Mario Kart and different ones like that. Just the different, and he loves it. That's always been his passion. Even whenever he was like just able to walk. He loved IndyCar racing if it was on the TV at my dad's house on Sundays. So it's just a thing, and it's very hard to know that what you said is probably very true. And the only reason why I say probably very true, like I'm a realist, just like you. I'm very realist. I like to, and I know you do too. You probably better do than I do. Is like keep a more open mind. But like the things that I like to look into with automatic driving vehicles, self-driving vehicles, like the Teslas and all that kind of stuff. By the time that he is 18, the next 4 years, that's going to most likely. Definitely be more present in society, and won't be one of the things that will be as hard to deal with, knowing that he won't be able to fully drive himself. But if he's even able to independently operate that situation,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm sure there might be a time that you have to be able to take over the vehicle or something, but
You have to tell him where to go. He's going to tell it like
yeah,
Watermelon, and it's
yep.
going to take him to a town like Watermelon, Ohio, or something like that.
He gets in, be
He's gonna
like,
be so.
destination, please. He's like, watermelon, watermelon, yellow mac and cheese, yellow mac and cheese, watermelon. It says, would you like to order an Amazon list or something like that? No, or add that to your Amazon list.
Yeah.
Um, no, I understand fully, like with the stuff that he won't be able to do, like, but I know that I don't ever like compare myself to other people and their situations, but I'm also not ignorant to know that if you have like in Jabron's situation, if you have a kid that's wheelchair bound, that their situations are going to be physically more draining than a situation that we would have to face with Hunter and his disabilities, right?
Yeah.
So like I definitely don't compare, but I'm also not ignorant. So um, I know that there's stuff in the works, right? I know AI is always developing all the time, and I know that Neuralink is a thing. And I don't feel like I would ever feel comfortable them inserting a chip into Hunter's head or something like that. But if it was something that you could wear, where it just like I don't know. I'm just saying I'm
I
open
always said
minded.
if
I'm
they would
definitely
let
open
you
minded.
do tracking, I would
Oh yeah.
definitely a
Oh yeah.
tracking thing on him
Like
because
yeah,
he'll take anything off
yeah.
that's.
Like, and I don't even feel bad in saying that. 100%. Like, if there was a way to do tracking, and anybody that would judge 100%, you don't have a kid or never had an experience with a kid that eloped. And like, once they get to an age of 14 years old and they're 5'11" or 5'10", and they weigh 130, 150 pounds, and they're faster than everybody around them, yeah, good luck. No, just saying that. And I'm not trying to be mean or anything like that. I'm just saying that I know that there's a lot of people that like to say that they would do stuff differently, but it's one of the things that I don't shame myself anymore. I would say that I agree with you that I think that there's a grieving process, and part of that grieving process for me is shame. But I'm not gonna let it control the rest of my life for sure.
Here's the thing: you can't dwell on the bad. You got to look at the positives, and you got to look at progress, little wins and stuff. But you also have to give yourself the space to have that. Because if you don't grieve, if you don't allow yourself to feel bad about it, it's just going to sit there and weigh on you. Grieve it in a natural, like a healthy way, but you got to let go of it. And then you're able to look at the things that he can do so much more clearly. You don't feel guilty. Part of that for me was getting off of social media. I mean, I had to
Hmm.
get off of it because I'm gonna grieve it in an unhealthy way.
Hmm.
I'm gonna constantly be comparing, and that it's not helping me. I feel sad and I do get upset sometimes, but then I let myself feel it and then, feel your feelings and
Yeah.
then you go on and then you work on what you can.
I haven't cut it out completely, but I would say I would definitely describe myself as like post and ghost. Like I post and then I get off. Like, and if I do stay on any type of social media, it's TikTok, and I'm literally looking for Fortnite because I'm looking for when the newest character skins are going to be coming out, and there are streamers out there that get that information before I do. So I want to see what it is.
You're watching some of those kids that you had as students or whatever, like Julian. You watch his
Blakely,
videos and stuff. Blakely,
Being silly.
you
That's
know,
true.
you do get on there and you enjoy stuff, but you're not comparing. You're
Yeah,
not
no.
you're not worrying about everything. It's just you're supporting.
And I said this earlier to you, and I want to say it again because it's one of the things that I don't think I'm going to remember unless I do. So Joe Rogan says this all the time. He always says that the people that he looks to interview are the people that are passionate about what they do, right? So if they're passionate about ancient Egyptian language, if they're passionate about government, if they're passionate about being a comic, I would describe myself as being passionate about like finding people that are passionate about multiple things. And like when I get to see people like Julian and I know that he's passionate about multiple things and you can see it and you can see the genuineness in it. Blakely and Landry, our niece and stuff like that. There's so many people that, and Easton, like I could go on forever. I go on forever. I'm not gonna name all the names because there's got everybody that we wind up offending and stuff like that. But there's still certain people that are just passionate about so many different things, and I love to be able to say that those are my people. Yeah.
You forget our nephew Henrik. He's super passionate about putting hot sauce on all of his food.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and then setting up as I sleep right in front of my face, all the little men, the little plastic army men. Yeah, the I think they were Indians and cowboys and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah, just as I sleep, just like right there on the side table, just all right there. And then as I'd wake up, he'd like just make the eyes.
He's still a little kid. He's still little.
And they break out the wrestlers, and then I loved it. It was kind of cool because you didn't know at the point when you were dreaming and what was reality and what was the dream, and it just kind of all blended together. So yeah, we might have created a bond. I don't know, but it's pretty cool. So, anyways, it's been great. I do want to appreciate you doing this because I know this is a long time coming. I stopped doing the podcast before because we had a lot going on. We moved to Oklahoma. We had a lot going on. Get the studio finally done. And I'm very, very happy that we had this opportunity to kind of come together and talk about this stuff. So hopefully it helps some people. Hopefully, if not, it is what it is.
We should paint over the walls and redo them. No, I'm just kidding. Please don't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Love you.
Love you.
Ready, set, go bananas.